life real estate investing show where we talk about real life situations, but we bring you real life solutions. And I always have the best people to come on this show. And my guest today is none other than Mr. Scott Sekulow. They call him the Flipping Rabbi.
That's right.
So we're going to get into some great stuff today. Scott, you made me laugh. You threw me off a little bit. But listen, I'm a professional, so I know how to rebound.
That's right.
So, Scott, I want to get you to tell the folks, why do they call you the Flipping Rabbi?
Well, you're one of the reasons.
I'm one of the reasons.
So unlike you, who've been in this business, you're how old now?
I'm 22.
And you've been in it for 21 years. You've been in the business for a long time.
Yeah, 22 years.
So I literally, this is my 4th year doing flipping houses.
Yes.
And
yes,
I
yes,
came
yes.
in not knowing anything, not watching the TV shows.
Really?
And so one thing I started noticing when coming to the RIA meetings was the big boys all had a catchy name.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Dollar Out of a Dime,
Yes.
Touch Tycoon, the Godfather.
Got it.
And as I started just going on and not realizing I was going to become kind of one of the big guys, I didn't know when I first started. My goal was to have eventually in 4 years where I was doing a house a month.
Okay.
And within my 2nd year, I was doing 50 houses.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
and no one told me that was a lot. I didn't know it was a lot.
Really?
No,
50 houses a month?
Yeah, no, not a month,
Oh,
a
okay.
year.
Oh, okay.
50 houses a month. That was a lot.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
But no one told me that was doing a lot of deals.
Okay.
And so I said, well, no one ever told me. I just thought one a week. That's pretty. You can pretty much knock this out.
Most times when people tell you when something is a lot, it starts to limit you.
Exactly.
So don't listen to those people.
Right.
50 is nothing.
Right. And so that's why I kept on doing it.
Right.
And so I got into the business, and I kept on hearing all these nicknames.
Yeah.
And as you know, I am a minister. I lead a
Yes.
congregation in Tucker, Georgia. We're Jewish people and Gentiles who believe that Jesus, or we call him Yeshua, is the promised Messiah, and we keep the Old and New Testament.
Okay.
And one of my members is someone that probably everyone who's over the age of 20 knows.
Okay.
And remember the TV show Webster?
Yes.
Remember Emmanuel Lewis?
Yes.
Well,
yes.
Emmanuel started coming to my congregation a couple of years ago.
Wow.
And my wife and I took he and his sister out one day for dinner to get to know him, and started talking about what we're doing, and I was doing this. He's like, the Flipping Rabbi. And so I give him full credit of how we got the name, and that's how it started. And
wow.
And it's great because, if you can't trust a rabbi, who can?
I know, right?
So it works out. It's really been neat to see how God has really moved in it and allowed us to minister and help people with houses.
The thing is, when you said that, I had to think about that. I never even thought about it that way. Like, a lot of us that have been doing this business for some time do have nicknames.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, my nickname came from somebody, actually a lady that was working for me like years ago, back in 2007. I would always talk to people like, listen, you should do this and try this to make money, because real estate is not everybody's thing.
Right.
And she said, wow, you know how to make $1 out of a dime. I said, interesting. So I started writing a book called How to Make $1 Out of a Dime. And she said, and I said, I'm like, I need to have something, another title, just in case How to Make $1 Out of a Dime doesn't work.
Right.
She said, how about telling them how Mr. Dollar Out of a Dime makes it? I said, who's Mr. Dollar Out of a Dime? She said, that's you. I said, okay, I'll try it.
And I knew your name, that name, before I knew your actual
right,
name.
I know. It's funny. A lot of people mention that. I'm just sharing with some other folks here. A lot of people mention that. Even the people at my church call me Mr. Dollar Out of a Dime. Like, how did so many people catch on to that?
Yeah.
I guess it is catchy.
It is, and that's what you need, that as a way to remember. People remember you.
Definitely. So Emmanuel Lewis.
Yep.
Interesting. I need to talk to him about giving me a new nickname.
There you go. I like Mr. Dollar Dime. It's good. Catchy.
So you got into real estate just 4 years ago.
Yep.
Did you start with the franchise, or
no? So I started. So when I was 18 years old, my
Last
family,
year?
last year, my family was doing historic restoration buildings, tax shelters at the time.
Okay.
And so I'd always kind of been in the business. Actually, at 18 years old, right out of high school,
Mm-hmm.
when I started college, I actually I got my real estate license.
Mm-hmm.
And then after a while, things changed and got out of that. And so I'd always had an interest in it. And the way I got into it is my mother-in-law owns a number of rental properties.
Okay.
And her nephew had a property here in Atlanta that he wanted to sell.
Mm.
And we were told it needed $5,000 worth of repairs. Well, $20,000 later.
Wow.
And
wow. So
I got into
you learned
it
really quickly.
and jumped right in and brought it in under budget
Okay.
and got it rented out for her top dollar before it was even finished. So, and her comment was, well, you like doing it? I'm like, yeah, it was kind of fun. You know, most pastors or rabbis, they play golf to relieve the stress.
Right.
And I kind of got into doing this.
Wow.
And
wait. This relieves stress?
Yes, it does.
Oh, okay.
So see, it really does. I love the art of negotiation.
Okay. That part.
And
yeah.
so that part is really fun. And when we were going on with this, her comment was, you know, would you want to do this? And I had never gone to a class. I'd never watched the TV shows. And I'm like, yeah, I think I could do this. And my mother-in-law is a child of the Depression.
Okay.
So if you know anyone from that age group, they're very tight on their money.
Yes.
And they don't want to let any of it go.
Right.
And she is definitely like that, and respectfully so.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had made an arrangement. She had some money, we had some money, and we said, okay, we're going to give you 10% of the profits. We'll go to you. And she's, you know, first deal we do, I hand her a check for $1,500.
Wow.
First deal.
Mm-hmm.
And her response was, is that all? I'm like, is that all? I just gave you, I borrowed the money for 3 months and gave you a check for $1,500.
Right.
Yeah, that's a pretty good deal.
Not
You didn't
bad.
do anything.
Not bad at all, right.
So we ended up doing another deal.
Mm-hmm.
Second deal, I handed her a check for $3,000.
Mm-hmm.
You know what her response was?
Is that all?
No. This time she said, you need some more money? So she even realized, hey, there's something going on with this.
Absolutely.
And it picked up from there, and it just was amazing to see. And I really give God the glory on this because, and I give him the credit for the business. One thing I do with it, the first check I write out is a tithe.
Absolutely.
And and I've just watched how he has just blessed this one time after another. And so after I started doing some deals, I ended up buying some deals from some home investor guys, and got to talking to them. And one of them said, "You need to join our team," because I had such a networking going on that I never put out a single bandit sign.
Wow.
I did everything was strictly networking, going out in front of those meetings, standing up in front of people saying, "I have cash, I want to buy your house."
Right.
And it was a great way to meet people and get the word out. And I started looking at the program for home investors, and I'm like, man, this makes sense for me.
Wow.
And it's a great organization, and it's been a lot of fun.
Really. So, you know, and I like I mentioned before, I had considered looking into that some time ago, which, you know, you might have inspired me.
So, we still have franchise open. You know what's so neat about home investors is, and just like in this industry too, where people would look at the two of you and go, well, you guys are competitors, you guys are in the same house. We will switch deals all the time with people.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's not what you see on TV.
Right.
Especially with the guys who know what they're doing. I'm talking to one of the guys right now, he's looking to buy a house, and we're like going back and forth and helping each other out, and that's what it's about.
Definitely.
So if you're getting in here and you don't want to get to know people and be friends, then don't get into this business.
Yes. You know, and that's the thing about where I hear a lot of people talk about an area being oversaturated.
Yeah.
And for me, I always think about that being a scarcity mindset, because I mean, you and I know, in doing what we do, we network and we talk to several different people. And if you look at what we do from an abundance mindset, there's always sharing.
Oh yeah.
We're always like, even what, you know, the subject we're going to talk about today is something that I've known it forever. At least, you know, you think, you know, but getting a little more into the concept, I'm like, wow, why haven't I done this? You know, and I think it's something from that perspective. It's something that we can work on together.
Exactly.
You know, and it's like, why do people look at areas being saturated if they just think about working together?
Right.
You
And
know?
if you think of, when I looked at this industry, each one of us has our own niche.
Yes, yes.
And they really don't they overlap a little, but nothing much. And when you have your niche, because there's so many different types of deals out there,
Absolutely.
you're gonna find your my niche is not what the Godfather's is. It's not really what yours is, or Mr. Tycoon, or any of the other one. We all have our niche, and that's what we do. And that's what's really neat with Homevestors, is we have 50 franchises here in Atlanta, and we work together. You know, I was talking to one before the meeting got started. We had a little a guy to try to hit every Homevestor person out to give them and it's like, we're not going to do that. We're not going to go over someone else's territory.
Right.
We work together, and that's really when you can do that. That's what makes this business fun.
Absolutely, and that's the thing with. I mean, as I was mentioning, talking about having an abundance mindset. The networking and building relationships and doing this business is what keeps a lot of us consistently closing deals.
Right.
Because I can pick up the phone and say, "Hey, Scott, I got a deal over here that might not work for me, but might be perfect for you."
Exactly.
So it's the building of relationships that keeps us continuously being able to get things done in this business. So why do y'all say that this is a saturated market?
I think it's hilarious. You can't make money in it. Okay, you're right.
Right.
I'm not making any money on it. I'm not. Please believe that. Listen to your friends who tell you. You know what's the funny thing is when people listen to their friends and tell people that you can't make money in this.
Right.
Look at what they're doing.
Absolutely.
Look at that.
Absolutely.
Are they successful?
Right.
If they're successful, maybe I'm going to, they're going to get my ear.
Yeah.
Are they a businessman or woman who knows?
Mm-hmm.
But, when I got into this business, the two people that I had the hardest time with were my brothers. We're very close, and when we have business ideas, and we're all very entrepreneurial. I mean, I own my own business. We were partners in a business when I started at 8 years old selling pretzels in the flea market, original Atlanta flea market.
Wow.
At age 12, I was audited by the IRS.
Wait a minute.
Yeah. They wanted to audit me because they said, how can a 12-year-old kid be making this much money?
Wow, really?
And they put my brother through law school. And
really?
so we always have these ideas.
Wait, go back. You said you selling pretzels, put your brother through
Yeah.
law school? Interesting.
We sold more. We did that on the weekend. That flea market was open on the weekend, where the Lindbergh Martyr Station is now.
Okay.
We sold more pretzels there than Six Flags, the Omni, and Stone Mountain combined.
Wow. So some of us need to get into pretzel business.
You find your niche.
Absolutely.
And so that's really what, when you start getting those entrepreneurial ideas, and I had to come up to I told my wife, I'm going to tell my brothers about this, and they're going to rip it apart.
Right.
And I told them separately, because I know if I told them together, one's a lawyer and one's an accountant. I know I'm going to have trouble. And they both came up with the same exact answer, not knowing what the other one said. Mm-hmm. And I knew then I could go into this business.
What was the answer?
The answer was, don't get into so many deals at one time that you can't handle it, which is what happened in 2008 with the crash.
Yes.
And it really, if you look at the crash, it wasn't that the investor didn't know what he was doing. Mm-hmm. Is that the banks all of a sudden said, "Oh, we need the money now that we gave you."
Yes.
And they didn't have it.
Right.
So that's really what we learned, and how to get into this business, being cash strong.
Yes, definitely.
And not relying on the bank.
And that's interesting that you put it that way, because not a lot of people think about it. That's what, and many people have said that mostly investors were the cause of a lot of the real estate issues. Yeah. But it was because lending dried up. So we weren't able to continuously do what we were supposed to do.
Right.
I had a ton of money. I just didn't continue to reinvest.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just spent all my money. But it was a lesson. It was a lesson learned. So in that, let's talk about, like, when you got started and doing what you did. So when you got into the franchise, what was the aha moment that you had going into getting into the franchise?
So, what's great with Homevestors, they bring you in, and they literally do a week-long teaching on preparing people how to do it. And
so do you have to know about real estate?
You don't.
Okay.
That's the neat thing, and they'll help teach you and do it. And this business isn't for everyone.
Yes, this is
And,
true.
and when we were in the class, we saw that I could tell you, and they even said, we want to know who you think will be the top sellers in your group, and and they didn't say which ones they be washed out, but that was the other. There's some that just, and what I don't understand, and I've said this is, you can't blame home investors for not being for not if you don't succeed, because they give you really everything you need to be able to do it, but it still takes that individual to go out and do it, and so
that's gospel right there.
Yeah, and that's really what
you can preach that.
I can go an offering on that,
right?
And that's what not everyone's set for this business.
Yes.
But if you are, you're going to do tremendous.
Definitely.
And and that's really what, if you can understand, we had to think outside the box.
Yes.
And I have dyslexia, so that's the best advantage for me, because my whole life I've been thinking outside the box.
Definitely.
And so if you have dyslexia out there, you can do this business.
Yes.
You just get your numbers backwards, but that's another story. But you're constantly thinking outside the box. And people ask me, what do? I don't buy houses. I solve problems.
Wow.
And if you can solve the person's problem, you're going to buy that house. If there's no problem there, you're not going to buy the house.
Absolutely.
So that's really the aha moment is, a person can call me up and say they want to sell their house. If they don't have a problem, I'm not buying that house.
Definitely. Okay. And that's definitely thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
And it's interesting the way, and I guess this will be something that you can tell us about. The way that people go after looking for deals, some people have the mindset that every situation, every deal is a good deal. But as you mentioned, if they don't have a problem, it's not really a deal that you could buy.
Right.
Because, and how I look at that is, there's not really a level of motivation, the level of motivation that we're looking to get. We have some people that will put a contract on a house just because the seller said they're willing to sell, and they'll give them their number.
Right.
And then they're going to try and wholesale that. And to those of us that buy, it just makes absolutely no sense.
It drives me crazy. So if you're out there and you're wholesaling, from one wholesaler to another,
yes,
learn what it means to be. Every deal is not a deal. Now, you have to also say there's a difference between flipping a house and doing a buy and hold.
Yes.
And so if you're doing a house that you think a person might not be able to flip, but works as a buy and hold, make sure you mention that, because it is a different mind. And so for a fix and flipper, a buy and hold is definitely not a deal. But unfortunately, a lot of the deals that come out are not deals.
Right.
You can't just try to please the person who's selling the property. You got to learn. You got to know what the value of the property is, how much a doorknob costs. I can tell you the price of the doorknob.
Yes.
And people think, why doorknobs? Well, here's everyone remembers the carpet and all those things. How many doorknobs do you have in a house?
You're right.
And at
Sometimes
$8 to $10 a piece, all of a sudden those little couple $100 here, couple $100 there adds up to thousands of dollars.
Yes.
And so knowing your numbers is very important, and being able to know what you and say to a point, this is the most I'm going to go. I'm not going to go a penny over.
Would you say it's important for a wholesaler that's strictly a wholesaler would you say it's important for them to know what it costs to renovate a house?
Absolutely. Because if you don't understand what the person's going through. And what a lot of wholesalers forget is that when we go to sell the house, we still have to pay commission. We still have to pay closing costs.
Yes.
So there's I just say there's 10% right off the top.
Absolutely.
So, when they'll show you, oh man, you can make $40,000 on this $240,000 house. Well, no, I can make about $20,000 because the rest of it's going to other people.
And not to mention Uncle Sam as well.
So the first check I always say I write to the IRS. The second check I write out.
Yes.
Separate account. 30% of every deal goes into that for taxes.
Absolutely.
Because if not, you're going to die.
Yes.
Got to pull out for taxes.
And I think that's the major part of the education that people who learn wholesaling. They get excited about the number of the dollars that they can make on a deal, but those things they don't take into consideration. Right. Like even something as simple as, I won't say simple, but something as important as the tie.
Right.
You mentioned that, and I don't think that's a concept that people that are believers even have when they're looking at, I can make $10,000 on this deal. yeah, it's okay to say that you can make $10,000
Right.
if you have it in your mind that, as you mentioned, 30% of that 10,000 is going someplace else.
Right.
So get excited about the 7.
Really, about 40. I do 40 because
Right.
30 goes to the IRS, unfortunately,
Yes.
but 10% goes to the God's work.
Yes.
But here's reality, and if you're a believer out there, you understand this. And I'm not a name it and claim it type minister, but the scripture is very clear.
Name it and claim it and frame it.
I'd say name it, claim it, poop it, and scoop it. Because I'm not one of the. I am a word. I preach the word. I don't preach the mishigash. That's Yiddish for junk.
It's going to teach us some Yiddish.
I'm teaching you Yiddish, man, too. You get all that, at no extra charge.
Right.
But it's important that you realize that God will bless you on this.
Absolutely.
And and I've seen it happen time and time again.
Yes.
I just had a deal.
Believe me. Yes.
I just had a deal where I negotiated with this couple, really nice couple,
Mhm.
and they were set on a certain price, and we were able to actually get to that price.
Mhm.
Well, when we got to the closing, and I've known the closing attorney for years. I've been using most of my main one.
Mhm.
They called me up. The people were upset. They didn't know that they had done a refi, and were told one price, and then at the end it was $36,000 more.
Wait, they didn't know that they
And
did
they
a
didn't
refi?
know. They knew they did the refi. They didn't know that all this was being added on at the end. But when they went and
Oh.
called for the
payoff.
payoff, they were
Mhm.
told one price. They weren't told about all the other fees.
Wow.
And because when I saw the HUD, I went, oh man, I understand what they want. They wanted a couple $100 to help move out.
Mhm.
Well, they were panicking.
Wow.
And the guy called me up. He goes, look, we're not going to be able to do this deal. And I'm like, well, what do you mean we can't do the deal? And, you're at closing. And,
Right.
and I didn't want to tell him technically I could enforce it. And,
Right.
and the lawyer called, and I started talking to him. I said, what if I can give you guys I said, I got to look at my numbers. If I can give you guys $3,000 more,
Mhm.
would that help? And they're like, yes, that would be great.
Mhm.
And the lawyer called me and he goes, I want you to know right now, he goes, you do not have to do anything. You could hold them to this. He goes, yeah, they could try to say they're not going to do it. In court, it's going to hold up. I said, I already talked to him. I said they can get $3,000. They're happy.
Mhm.
He goes, you're going to give them $3,000? I said, yeah.
Mhm.
He goes, that's it. He goes, most investors wouldn't have done that.
Mhm.
But you know what I look at? I know God's going to bless me down the road.
Absolutely.
And they're happy, and they're not going to tell their friends, oh man, he'll take care of you.
Right.
And
right.
that's the reputation I want in this business. And I was at the closing table and talking to the attorney, and she goes, well, you didn't have to do that. I said, you know what? I said, if $3,000 is going to kill me in this business, then I shouldn't be in this business.
Yes. I was actually going to say that, but I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
And that's and that's coming from an abundance mindset.
Right.
Because that's not the only deal that you're going to ever do.
Right.
So as you said, if $3,000 is going to be the do all and say all to my whole investment career,
Yeah.
you probably should be still selling pretzels.
That's right. It was a good business.
But it's things like that oftentimes people don't take into consideration.
Right.
When you're negotiating with a seller, of course, I think most of the times people miss it that sellers aren't investors.
No.
So we have to educate them to help them understand this is how we do what we do and this is why we're offering what we're offering. And if they get that, and if they get to that point and now something else happens, like in your situation,
Right.
it's just a matter of continuously educating them. And even if it means offering them a little bit more, I mean, again, I don't know what your profit was on that deal.
Very good. Still.
It's still,
It was
right.
it was a good deal all around.
Absolutely. And if you're a wise investor, which I'm sure you are, you haven't spent that money
Nope.
before the closing.
Nope. I don't spend it till after.
Right.
Now you spend it after the closing.
But you have so many people that,
Oh.
that when they see a number, they're locked in on that number
Yeah.
because they know all of the bills that they have to pay with the money they're expecting to get at closing.
Right.
So if it's a matter of now they're getting $3,000 less, it's the end of the world for them.
Right.
Because they have nothing else going on besides that deal. So from an educational standpoint, I'm glad that you shared that story because I believe that's going to be valuable knowledge for people that are doing this business or even people that are getting into this business to let them know that what we do as real life real estate investors is we do things from a volume perspective.
Yep.
And we don't live and die on each deal.
Exactly.
So thank you very much for sharing.
Well,
That's the end of the show, y'all. We can go home now.
That's it. We're done, man. You said that the first minute and a half, man.
So, I mean, and then I would say that was a major aha moment. And again, thank you for sharing that. Tell me, what has been something else that you've experienced? Even I can't even say that. 4 years for where you've come. I mean, what you've accomplished in the 4 years is like, almost the 22 years that I've been doing, because you're doing some great stuff. In your time in doing this, what would you say was an major aha moment for you? Again?
So, the key thing is listening to guys like you.
Okay. Thank
So
you.
guys who've been in the business for a long time, who know what they're doing.
Yes.
The old thing is we don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Definitely.
We can modify a wheel a little bit.
Yes.
We can take what you do, and just like when we got here, I went, man, I never thought about doing what you're doing now.
Right.
Those are those things that you can learn, and those are important. I'll never forget, it was my fourth deal I was doing, and this was the time of the year. It was kind of hard to find some properties. The economy was pretty good, and I found this one house from a home investor guy. And I was talking to a gentleman who works for a company that buys and sells properties, and was telling me about the deal. And this was a deal that I was only going to probably make after rehabbing it. I could probably clear my minimum, which was about $15,000. And talking to him, he's like, well, the wholesaler had offered me a number, and he was willing to give me like $11,000. And this was for just finding the property and negotiating the deal. I could make $11,000. And I was talking to my wife, and she's like, you don't have anything going on. You got contractors, get them working.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
I called up the guy. I said, look, your deal was nice. I said, but I want to get something going for my contractors. And his response was, well, now that you're not going to do it with me, let me tell you what you should do with this property. He goes, you need to clean it out and put it on the market as is, and you'll make more money doing it that way than rehabbing it.
Yes.
And I said,
yes.
You've got to be kidding me.
Yes.
And he kept pushing. He goes, I'll bet you a dinner on it. I'm
Wow.
like, a dinner? He goes, Kobe steak dinner.
Wow.
Now, for those of you out here who don't know what a Kobe steak is, it is $25 an ounce, and he went 4 ounces minimum.
Wow. I don't eat steak, so
okay. So, well, this was not steak. This was heaven.
Okay.
So, and I listened to what he said, and I ended up selling that house, and made more money on it than I would have done it myself.
Yes.
And that was the best $600 meal I ever spent.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Because I listened to someone who knew the business, and it made me more money.
Absolutely.
And so remember I said when I first wanted to get into business, I wanted to eventually have a house a month, basically selling. I started talking to people, all of a sudden I got into working with hedge funds. And that was like a gift from heaven.
Yes, yes.
And started dealing out dealings with them. And now, and I started building those relationships with individuals that they knew if I'm buying a house from you, I am buying a house, I am closing on that house.
Absolutely.
There's no backing out at the last minute. I own that house.
Right.
And so that was important to understand and for people to see what was able to go on. And those have been the moments that really changed how I thought. So you're constantly learning and developing what you're doing. So people say, "What do you do?" I say, "I wholesale, I fix and flip, I buy and hold, I do everything."
You do everything, yeah.
Because if the deal's right, the deal's right.
Absolutely.
And that's what you got to make it for.
Great stuff. You were saying something about the home investors class.
Yeah.
And you said that there were some people that they pointed out that were going to not be so.
They didn't really say to not be. When we're looking around, you're like, of course, a lot of people looked. I was a standout in the group, just because I had already had knowledge. Really, had already been in the business.
Oh, okay.
And so, but there were some that you looked at and go, "Why are you here?
Right.
Why did you spend this kind of money? Because you don't have an idea of what you're doing." And unfortunately, some of them, fall out. But they would track us, and the last time they did a tracking, I was number 1. I've been number 2,
Oh, really?
But a guy and I were doing number 1 and number 2 in our class.
Mhm.
But he was spending more on advertising than I was.
Wow.
And at that time, he was in the number 1 market, so I felt pretty good at number 2. But
So he was in the number 1
but
market?
I took him over at the end, yeah.
Wow. So what would you think was the cause for some of the people falling out? What would you say from your opinion?
You have to be a entrepreneur to do this business. And
An entrepreneur at heart, would you say? Okay.
You have to be able to look and go, I can do this and not be afraid. Because you're talking big numbers.
Definitely.
You know,
definitely.
when you think about it, we're asking the person to sell me their biggest investment in their entire life.
Yes.
And so a lot of people lack that understanding of what to do and how to do it. It's funny, I had brought on one of our guys who was going to be a buyer for me, and he came to the meeting. And so he was in the class, and at one time the teacher was saying something, and I jumped in, and I just said, well, you know, you didn't mention this. He goes, why don't you teach him about that? and I literally went on for like 45 minutes teaching right off. You know, this is a gift that God has given me. You know,
Yes.
I guess I have dyslexia, so I'm not one who sits and just reads. I memorize.
Wow.
And I can hear, and I can bring it right back out. So teaching things like that, I love to do, and that's really what's part of this business. Is just bringing it in and letting people understand and seeing what goes on. And when you can connect with, you got to be able to connect with the person.
Absolutely.
If you can connect with that buyer, they're putting in your hands.
Wow. So do you do any teaching?
So I do. No, I don't. I can teach people who work for me.
You don't do teaching?
No, I do preaching and that kind of, but this kind of business, Home Investors doesn't allow us to do that. So,
okay.
That's something that we don't do. But my team that is under me, I teach them how to do what I do.
Got it. Okay.
But we do now. But we do have. I head up with our RIA meeting every third Tuesday of every month in our office. We have that, and I'm able to, answer a couple questions there, but it's really more for people like you that come in and teach.
Okay. So the next event you have going on is the 17th, is that?
Yeah.
The next one? And what's happening at that?
That's a great question. We're bringing in a gentleman named Brandon, and he's going to be teaching about virtual buying, which is kind of something like what we're about to talk about eventually.
Absolutely.
If we get around to it.
Yeah. We're gonna get to, because we like to build up the suspense for the
there
people.
You go. And it's a great way of it. When I saw this concept, I said, this makes sense. And I'm not one of those, I'm the one when these guys come in with their deals and everything, I love to rip them apart.
Yeah.
And I'm like, when I can't rip one apart, I'm like, this is the real thing.
Definitely. So let's go ahead and talk about that. So I saw it as BOR.
Yeah, bore.
Bore. So is that?
It's not a bore though.
So did you coin that phrase, or was it?
I did, yeah. So
Okay,
originally, we had it as a different set of initials, and you couldn't even say it. So
Okay.
we got bigger pockets as a burr. So
Yes.
we kind of came off of that. Was you buy the property that you've never gone to see.
Right.
That you're not planning on doing any repairs to whatsoever, or minor at best.
Definitely.
You're gonna then owner finance it to a person who's buying the house, and for a set amount for a short period of time, from anywhere from 5 to 7 years. Sometimes you go a little longer than 7, and at the end they own it.
Okay.
But what's great with this is you don't have to do all the repairs and all the costs. They're doing it.
Right.
You're going to give them a discounted price, so they're buying it at less than they would pay rent for, and do it. Now, if with owning your own property, if you own a rental property, if you make $300 to $500 a month profit on it, you'd be in heaven.
Yeah, definitely.
But because you also know, while I'm making this a month, when that AC unit goes, there's $5,000.
Absolutely.
When that roof goes, there's $7,000.
Yes.
When the refrigerator goes, right?
Yes.
Well, how about if you can make the same $300 to $500 a month
and not
have to do any of the other stuff?
Wow. So you buy the property yourself first.
Right.
Okay. And that's just a cash purchase?
This is a cash purchase. This is these are properties that have been on sites like auction.com. We're working with people who are able to go and buy those properties. They negotiate with the banks directly. These properties have probably gone through, 2 or 3 times.
Wow.
the auctions maybe haven't sold.
Mm-hmm.
They negotiated. They're using in livable, not you and I would live, but livable condition. And the idea is a person can come get that property.
Okay.
With the discounts that the money they're saving, fix up the property.
Right.
And at the end of 7 years, they own it.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
unlike the mindset of a renter's mind is, this is someone else's property who has a lot of money, who really doesn't need my money.
Right.
I've heard this so
Right.
many times.
Yeah.
That I can do whatever I want with this house. I can trash it and be done.
And yeah.
But what
We
happens
won't
when
say
you...
that renters do that, though.
No, not all. Because I roll my eyes.
Right. I don't know, right?
But now put it as an owner mindset.
Yes.
Owner mindset
yes.
is, this is my house.
Definitely.
Yeah, it needs some work, but you know what? I'm handy enough. I can put up new cabinets.
Right.
I can paint. I can do these things, and I can make this house look great.
Great stuff.
And in the end of 7 years, I own this house. This is mine.
Wow.
So it's when I heard the concept, I went, this makes sense.
Absolutely.
You can do this. And literally, as the guy was talking to me about it, I bought the example that he used. He goes, I just got this one property. I started looking at it. I'm like, sold.
Right.
It's in Illinois. I'll never see this house.
Wow.
And I'll probably make on this house between $500 to $600 a month.
Wow.
And not have to do anything.
So, what type of discount are you buying these houses at? I mean,
We're buying them from $4,000 to about $10,000 or $11,000 a piece.
what you're only spending $4,000 on the
Yeah.
property? So you're buying a property for $4,000
Yes.
that doesn't need much work?
No, I didn't say that it needed much work.
Okay.
I said it needs work. It's livable.
Okay. Well, in
our mind, it's not. You
much.
and I wouldn't live in
Right.
it. Our wives wouldn't let us live
Right,
in it.
exactly, exactly.
But these are houses someone could live in. They're going to need fixing up, and people are willing to do that.
So when you're selling on seller financing, are you asking for a down payment from this?
So
from the
basically,
buyers?
what happens is, with this deal, because we have to physically buy the property,
Right.
and then we can sell it to the person. So there is a double closing.
Okay.
And then you figure about $1,200 to $1,300 a closing each side. So there's a little extra on that. But that's normal. When you go to any closing, that's the normal amount.
You just wait. So you just let me just make sure I'm clear on how you're saying this, because we're gonna have to cut this off because we don't want nobody to get these ideas. No.
So I'll give you. I bought a house in Illinois, in Buda, Illinois. I have no idea where it is. It's just outside of Chicago. Built in 1913. The pictures that I saw, it has vinyl siding on the outside.
Okay.
Kitchen looked different but nice.
Okay.
Livable. It has a nice old table there, no extra charge.
No extra charge on the table.
And we can sell this. It's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house. Be great for someone to come in, fix it up, live in it, and they'll be all set. I paid double. I had to pay 2 closings on it. I paid I think it was like $6,500.
Okay.
So I'm all in on this deal under $10,000.
So what does the person that's buying from you come to the table with?
So just like that deal that I did, it'll be the same deal for anyone else. It's the price we have is our fees are included. Now we will all included in that price are our fees, and then we're gonna give you contracts so you know how to sell the property. If you want us to help you market it, we can do it. There's an extra fee for that, and we can also management's really easy. All you're doing every month is making sure they're making payments. But these are people that you got to make sure they make their payments too.
Right.
I mean, there is a little work in that, but it's a really easy. So we're not just giving you a property and say, "I'll buy."
Right.
We're here to help you. We have a guy for $250. We'll go out and rekey the locks for you. Put a sign in the yard. Take pictures of the inside.
Wow.
Because just like an auction, you don't necessarily get to see the inside.
Okay.
And then we can then determine what we're going to quote sell it for, and what your monthly payment. We really concentrate on the monthly payment.
Right. So I just want to make sure because and I get what you're saying.
Right.
That's why I don't want to tell nobody else. But
I got 8 properties available right now.
Right. But just for the people to understand, like, yeah, are you wholesaling these properties? So you
can say that, yes.
Okay, right. So you're wholesaling because you're doing a double close.
Right.
So you're basically not really putting anything into the property yourself because the people that are coming to the table are giving you the down payment.
Right.
Got it. Great.
So when you
That's the end
decide,
of the show. Y'all have a nice day. No, I'm just kidding.
so if they decide on a house, they need when we sign the contract, they give us the earnest money of $5,000.
Got it.
Because we actually have to pay. We have to give deposits to buy these properties.
Definitely.
And then at closing, they pay the balance plus the closing costs.
Yes.
And that can be anywhere from about 20 to 45 days, depending on how long the companies like auction.com take.
Got it.
Which is the normal process. They
Right.
go through title checks
Definitely.
and all that to make sure everything's fine. And then you get the property.
Great stuff.
The guy
Great
goes out,
stuff.
takes the pictures, puts the sign in the yard, and then you can have your number on it. They can call you direct. If you want us to manage it for you, we'll be glad to. And then we kind of know what, we're going to get you, a couple of things and then say, hey, who do you want to pick?
Wow. So you'll do the screening for
We'll
the
do
people
the
that are
screening,
buying?
yes.
Great.
There's
stuff.
there's an extra charge for that, but
Absolutely.
we'll do that.
Okay.
And what's really, is there a downside to this business?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Okay.
You could get a property that from what we saw, we didn't see everything. They sometimes do that, and you might get a dud.
Got it. Okay.
So, but you've been in the business a while.
Yeah.
How many
2 or 3 weeks.
2 or 3 weeks. How many properties have you ever had that you went over budget on?
Oh.
Or that you thought you were going to get this price and you got this price?
Yes.
It's the same thing. So the risk is you could lose the house. And the guy who I work with, Roger, will tell you he bought 50 houses last year.
Mm-hmm.
He had to give one house back because they didn't see and it had a big hole in the house, and they couldn't. It just didn't make sense to fix it.
So you said 1 out of 50.
Right.
That's a big risk. I'm kidding.
Again, it's if you're looking at the one deal, then this isn't the thing for you.
Absolutely. That's what I'm saying.
And that's what the people have to realize. Yeah, is there a risk? Yeah, but there's a risk in everything we do.
Absolutely.
Can you lose 10,000 in this business really quick? Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's part of it.
Right.
But am I willing to take that risk? Absolutely, I am.
I mean, when you're talking 1 out of 50,
Right.
like that is great. That's a great odds, and being able to, because look at all the other houses, the money that he's making on those houses.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's you don't look at the one, you look at the many.
Right.
And that's what I tell people. Most people who come into this business don't have a lot of cash.
Definitely.
And if they want to be able to get residual income, or a lot of their end goal is, well, I want to be able to make money so I can have money coming in every month.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then you really don't need to be a flipper.
Right.
If you have $100,000, okay, you could probably buy one house and rent it out.
That's usually what happens.
And make about $300 a month.
Right.
And you'd be kind of happy.
Mm-hmm.
Or, let's say you buy 9 of these, because there's closing costs. I'm throwing the closing cost.
Absolutely.
You can buy 9 of these at $300 a month. Now look at the numbers. Instead of making $300, now you're making $2,700.
Definitely. Yeah.
And you don't have to worry about fixing everything. People say, what happens if the person doesn't pay? What happens if the person doesn't pay when they rent? You kick them out. It's part of the contract.
Yeah.
This is it's an installment land deed, so it protects the seller.
Right.
You can kick them out. People go, oh man, I have to go up there and dispossess. You know what the best way to kick out is? Buddy, I know you've gone through some hard times.
Right. Here,
let me give you some cash, and I'll give you the more cash. How quick can you get out?
Yeah.
I'll give you more cash if you can get out quicker.
Absolutely.
And just get them out, because you just start the cycle all over again.
Definitely.
It's not. This is not rocket science.
Right.
And so you're gonna have a little hassle. You're gonna make a lot of money.
And that's, like you said, that's with anything.
Right.
That's with anything. And looking at the potential type of income that we make and what we do, it's worth the risk.
Right.
And anything like that we do in life, it's a risk. I mean, like with this whole Corona situation, it's a risk for us to be talking.
Right. Don't shake my hand.
Right. But I mean, it's again looking at things from an abundance mindset.
Right.
So this is a great thing. I mean, how are you sharing this with a lot of people?
I'm sharing it with
I mean, you
anyone
are now.
we have properties. You can contact us. We can help you do it. We get we get properties all the time too. That's what the real neat thing about this is that we constantly can get new properties. I own 6 myself, so I'm not only talking about it, I'm doing it.
Definitely.
And so I see what goes on, and there's an aggravation a little.
Got it.
Getting used to it. Man, it's nice. First of the month, start getting those checks.
Yes, it's a beautiful thing.
Like, I can handle this.
Get over the aggravation really quickly. Huh?
My goal is to bring on more.
Absolutely.
And so there's ways to do this, and you can really make money. And you're helping people too, because the person we're selling it to is a person who usually cannot get a loan from a bank.
Right.
And they're trying to reestablish themselves. And you're giving them, because it's 7 years, people go, I can do this for 7 years.
Right.
And then they own it. And then you go on and buy another one. You can buy several with the amount that you make. Because remember, it's not how much the house is worth, it's that monthly payment that they're getting.
Absolutely.
We have one guy, we just sold him a property, and I'm actually calling today. We found out the person the people who had the house haven't moved out yet.
Okay.
That could be a problem, right?
Right, yeah.
Except we find out that the people really want to stay and live in the house. So you could take that situation and go, I got a problem, I got these people want to, wait, how much were they paying before?
Right.
How long was there, I could make them a deal that they're going to pay me less than they were paying before for a longer period of time, for a shorter period of time, but longer than I probably normally would have gotten.
Wow, yeah.
They're going to be happier than anything.
Absolutely.
I already got the person living there. They're already taking care of the house. I'm done.
Wow. So where are these houses? Where are they? I mean.
So we personally concentrate on the East Coast because we're offering the service of going and having someone go and change the locks.
So wait a minute, the entire East Coast?
We do the entire East Coast.
Wow.
Now, people go, where's that? I want deals in Georgia. So do I.
Yes.
So let me tell you, you won't get them because we will have them eat.
Right.
They're not in Georgia.
Absolutely. Not for the numbers you're talking about, yeah.
And one of the reasons why I figured out is they have to actually be a little bit, usually they're older houses.
Yes.
We know what happened in the South.
Yes.
Those older houses aren't really around.
Absolutely right. Yeah.
And so the houses that you can get are built in the 1900s and probably 1940s. And in the South you don't really see it. I mean, you see them in pockets.
Right.
But usually they're cost more to fix the house than to even make it worth.
Yes.
These up north are different. Right. I don't know what they did different up there, but they're more abundant there, and we can find the deals, and so that's really where I have West Virginia, Mississippi, 2 in Illinois.
Wow.
So we're buying all over.
Okay. And how are you getting the leads? Are these just auction?
So this is from a gentleman who has been doing this for 15 years. He buys thousands of these, and he has 14 people that he distributes them through. And the person that I'm working with, he's a VIP member at auction.com, and that's how they brought them in. So they help distribute the properties that way.
Okay, good. Okay, I don't know why my watch is ringing. Good stuff. So now these people anybody that's interested in doing this would contact you directly.
Right, and we can send them the list of the houses. They can go online and look to see what pictures there are available, and we can set it up, and they can buy the property. It's $5,000 down, the balance, the double closing, and we're even trying to work to get those closings cheaper. We're working with some title companies, so we always try to save people money.
Got it. So what other way can someone get involved in this particular program? Is there another? I mean, if they just wanted to put money in, and is there another opportunity?
Not at this point.
Okay.
In other words, unless you're like a big hard money lender that you can lend money to people and then they can do it that way.
Okay.
But no, we're not looking. These are really deals that we want to be able to. People say, "Why don't you keep them all yourself?" Well, I only have, I have X amount of dollars I put towards this type of deals.
Right. Mm-hmm.
As I save up, I do more.
Got it.
My goal is to eventually have. I would love to have 20 of these.
Got it. Okay.
20 would give me, another one a month.
So if someone wanted to be like a private lender for you, is that
They can contact us.
Okay.
It really wouldn't be for us because it's individuals. We're not looking to. We're not trying to. I mean, look, when we tell the person we had a house for $4,500, that included our fees. So it's $4,500, double closing, you're done. There's no hidden stuff, and we're going to help you to. We got the contracts. We're going to explain what to do. Myself, Roger, just a phone call away.
Got it.
And we answer our phones. We're there for people.
Okay, good. Okay. Roger Blankenship.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, Roger's a good guy. Yeah. So
Flipping America.
Yes, indeed. What's the app? The Fan.
Yes.
Of Flipping America Network.
Yeah.
Is the app. Shout out to Roger Blankenship. So good stuff. I just want to see if anybody that's logging on, if anyone has any questions about this particular program, definitely chime in to ask your questions.
Right. They can find me on Facebook. This the Flipping Rabbi.
The Flipping Rabbi.
Scott Sekulow, but my last name's harder to spell. The Flipping Rabbi. People can remember.
The first flyer that we put out had a misspelling of your last name.
Did it really?
Yeah.
I didn't even catch it.
I said, Scott didn't know how to spell his own last name. He didn't tell us.
I didn't look at it, man. It's pretty bad.
No, we caught it. We actually caught it this morning when we did it again. So this program, the BORE program, is clearly not boring.
Right. It's not boring.
That's something that anyone that wants to get involved.
If you have, we ask to do just one is really not the way to do this.
Absolutely.
$30,000 to $50,000 you have to invest. I think it's a great way to get started and get started into real estate and be able to get monthly income coming back.
30,000 to 50,000. What's like 4 or 5 houses?
Right.
Okay.
And we're we are so how we base our number on rent, because people say, how do you get this number $300 to $500? We look at what's the going rent in the area, rental meter. I mean, there's websites you can get to.
Right.
Let's say it's $800 a month. Okay. And this is something that I'm not teaching this. The guy's been doing this for 15 years. He says this: if you want the property to sell, you market it at around 60% of fair market value, of renter value.
Right.
And in that we take out the taxes, because we technically the deed is still in the owner's name until it's switched over.
Right.
So you have to take out for taxes, property taxes. That's nominal.
Right.
And that's the number you shoot for.
Okay.
Once you get pictures of the house and the condition, it might go up a little, it might go down a little.
Right.
But if you can get $300 to $500 a month,
yes,
we're thinking on the one in Illinois, we're shooting for $600.
Got it. Wow.
Times 84 months.
Wow. So do you have so in that, are you amortizing over that time for the price of the house? Okay, got it. Okay.
So, but the thing is, if the person, we're going to give them, here's the price of this house. Now remember, because we're owner financing, we can sell it for higher than what the market is, because we're taking the risk of that person. Where no one else would rent to that person or sell to that person, we're doing it.
So the monthly payments that they're paying is towards paying off the house.
Exactly.
Okay, got it.
End of 7 years, it's theirs. They own it.
Got it. Okay. You can't beat that.
Right.
You can't beat that. I mean, when you're talking nowadays, 30 years, people have mortgages. Is there, do you calculate interest rate or anything?
Yeah, we use about 9% interest rate.
Okay, got it. Okay.
But again, we focus more on that monthly number.
Yes.
It's just like when someone goes to buy a car. They don't ask you, how much you want to pay for this new car?
Right.
Right? You want to pay, here's MS, no, it's, what do you need your monthly payments at?
Absolutely.
So we're gonna budget. Okay, here's what we're looking at. Here's your monthly payment. Can you handle that? You can. Great. Oh man, I can't handle 500 a month, but I can handle 400. Oh, how about if I do it 400, but instead of 7 years, I'll do 8 years.
Right.
Or 9 years.
Okay, got it.
You end up getting even more on that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So again, it's understanding how to do it where they're getting what they want. And the goal, I don't want to buy that house again.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a used car dealership where buy here, pay here,
come back,
and you want the same car.
Yeah.
I don't want to see that house again.
Right.
I want this person to be a homeowner. I want them to be proud and to fix up that house. And then the neighborhood looks better. So guess what? We shine. We look good.
Absolutely.
Because we're the good guy, because we're helping people to better the community. And that makes you feel good.
Absolutely.
I'm not go green, but
Right.
I like that. When I can help someone to get it happening.
Okay, good stuff. Okay, we're coming up on our time. So, great information. Great information. I learned a lot about it. Yeah. So yeah, I'm definitely going to be, having some information about that. So in that program, so we want people to be able to get connected with you. How does someone get in contact with you?
Easiest way is right on Facebook.
Okay.
You can just go to Facebook. You can do Scott. My email is Scott at the letter J, the word and, the letter S, invest.com. And you can email me as well, but Facebook is a great way to do it. And everyone's on Facebook, right?
Yeah. You're all on Facebook, right?
Right.
I mean,
Need to be.
You're watching us on Facebook and Instagram, so hopefully you're on Facebook. Okay,
so
good stuff.
that's an easy way to do it.
Okay.
I'm on there and I answer, and then I'll be glad to send you the info on it.
Okay.
And then if you're in Atlanta, come to our Atlanta RIA meeting. It's the third Tuesday of the month. It's over at West Park Place over here in Stone Mountain, and we can get you hooked up.
Okay. What's the address?
2300 West Park Place,
2100,
Suite
okay.
110.
Definitely
Look for the
check that out.
caveman, Mr. Ugly.
The next place, the next event that they're having is March 17th.
Right.
And also, while we're here talking about March 17th, don't forget Catalyst. The Catalyst event is March 17th during the day. So we're going to be doing Catalyst during the day on March 17th at City Tap Bar and Grill, and I can't remember the address, but Google it, City Tap, March 17th. So there is something else that we were talking about that I wanted to share with the folks, and I'm supposed to have remembered it,
Okay.
but I didn't.
We talked about the upcoming events.
Okay.
I don't have anything to sell them, except the property.
You're a buyer.
I am a buyer.
Okay, so are you looking for a property?
We're always looking for properties.
Okay, you're a cash buyer?
Cash buyer.
Okay.
Looking for properties anywhere. So if you have a property, throw it to me. I'll be glad to examine it, rip it apart. And I actually will tell you if it's a good deal or not. I'm one who actually will go back and say, hey, you might need to renegotiate, which sometimes happens, but it helps. I don't want to buy one property from you. I want to buy every property that you have. So.
And I want to make sure people are clear on that. When you said that you're going to rip it apart, that's what's necessary. And for those of you that have been doing this for some time and don't have any experience or knowledge about that, it's good to have somebody that is buying regularly, to tell you what best fits what they're looking to buy, because you have a lot of our great wholesalers who want to make $20,000 on their first deal out the gate, right?
And they can, if the deal's right.
If the deal's right.
Yeah, it was fun. We were at a meeting the other day, and the guy asked, how much you get on an average wholesale? And people were going, 2,000, 5,000. I went, what?
Yeah.
I went 15, 20.
Yeah.
I went, what are you talking, 2,000, 5,000?
Right.
But I guarantee you the 15 or 20 that if I'm making on that, the end buyer is making more.
Absolutely.
And that's the key thing you have to remember is the last person who is having to deal with the end customer, that's the person who should make the most money on the deal.
Definitely. Yeah. So the wholesalers, they're trying to make that $20,000 and not do anything at all. See, you mentioned earlier, it's important for them to even understand the cost of renovating that house.
Right.
Some wholesalers think that that's not necessary.
My third deal I did with Homevestors. Bought a house. We budgeted $30,000 in rehab. 10,000 of it was just getting the stuff out of the place.
Oh.
It was that bad.
Wow.
And I sold the property as is. Didn't do anything to it. I made $50,000 on it.
Wow.
And the guy who ended up buying it, he would make made over $50,000.
Wow.
And it's funny because they can go back and see what you paid for and everything.
Definitely.
And the guy who helped me, it was a friend of mine who had the guy who's a seller, and he came back. He goes, the guy is kind of upset. He goes, because he asked if you could go down in price, and you said no. And I said, please remind him, I had 3 offers.
Right.
I didn't need to go down.
Right.
When it's priced right.
Right.
I made plenty of money on that deal.
Absolutely.
I was thrilled to death, but I made sure that last guy had made money on it too.
Great stuff. So, any parting words for the folks, and from an educational perspective that you could share?
This business doesn't work. Don't get into it. Listen to your friends that tell you there's no way you can do this. Here's the thing: get started. Just do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm that weird one. I never went to a class.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't watch the shows on TV until after I started getting into it.
Mm-hmm.
And then here's my big tip: if you're a guy out there and you're looking to rehab a house, if you don't have a woman telling you what to put in that house, you will lose money. Get a woman in there who has that woman's touch.
Absolutely.
My wife, married 31 years, love her to death. She is I do not, trust me, if I was doing the house, it would look like a man cave. She goes in, she tells me what to do. I look to see, I go, budget, we can do it or not. If not, redo it.
It's funny. My first few rehabs were like that. Like, hey, listen, it's perfect for what I want to do.
Right.
So, yeah, the house looks great.
Why isn't it selling?
Right.
Because there's a woman that's buying the house.
That's the issues that I had.
There you go, see? And that's just, come to these meetings, you learn a lot. Some of my best tips, I get a little nugget out of every one I go to.
Definitely.
People wonder why I keep going. Last year, I did over 6 deals at the RIA meetings.
Wow.
I had one bought and sold before the meeting was done.
Wow. Great. So you bought one and sold it?
I bought it and had it sold before the meeting was over.
Wow. Meetings make you money.
Yep.
The grind guy always says is meetings make you money. So definitely come to the meetings. Oh, speaking of meetings, real life real estate investing. Yeah, got to mention this one. Real life real estate investing. We're doing the reboot of real life real estate investing April 11th in Gwinnett, and I was supposed to have the address. But I'll make sure the address is below this video, so you can definitely come out and check out the reboot of the real life real estate investing meeting happening in Gwinnett County. We haven't had a real life real estate investing
I have to
meeting.
come to you. I didn't know.
Definitely, yeah. We haven't had one in over a year. We've been, kind of on a hiatus for a little while, but we're doing the reboot of real life real estate investing April 11th. Don't wait till August to come. It's happening April 11th. We'll make sure you get the location and address information.
Gwinnett's
for
a
that.
great area.
It is.
I'll buy any house you have in Gwinnett.
Definitely.
At the right price.
All right, so that's all we have. Anything else you want to share?
I think, man, I don't know what else we can do.
I know. Listen, we got some great stuff today. Tell us about your service on Saturday.
So we have our services made up of Jewish and Gentile people who believe Jesus or Yeshua is the Messiah. We strictly word of the word. We teach from the word, and the congregation's in Tucker. It's Congregation Beth Adonai. That's BETH and then ADONAI.com. We live stream our services, so you can check it out. And yes, I'm as funny there as I am here. Well, my wife says no.
Right. Good stuff. Listen, Scott, thank you so much for stopping
Enjoyed
by.
it.
I appreciate it. Listen, you've given us some valuable information.
I'm honored, man, to be on this show. I was like, man, I was kind of embarrassed. I kind of I said, you haven't had me on the show.
Listen, we always got the great folks. We
Yeah,
always got great
you guys
folks.
too.
You're definitely one of them. So listen, I thank you for your contribution to this business of real estate. Even for the short time you've been doing it, I've learned a lot from you as well.
I appreciate that. I've learned a lot from you.
And it's always something, as I was mentioning to one of my folks, it's always something that we can learn in doing this. Whether you're doing it for 2 weeks or 2 years, you should continuously educate yourself.
Keep your eyes open.
Definitely
man. That
keep
is
your
so
eyes
important.
open. Definitely. When I tell people, I've been doing this for 22 years, I really have to make sure people get that. It's not for me to beat my chest to say that I'm bigger or better than anybody. I've just figured out a whole lot of ways not to do it.
Right.
And I've understood, and over that time, that I have to continuously educate myself. Yeah. So I made a whole lot of mistakes in those 20-some years. But I've learned a lot. I get to hang out with Scott.
That's right.
All right, ladies and
Learn from other
gentlemen.
people's mistakes. That's the best way. My dad taught me that.
Yes, absolutely.
Go make your own.
Definitely. Right. Well, if you learn from other people's mistakes, you make less.
You make less.
But I want to make sure people don't shy away from making mistakes, because those have been some of the greatest lessons.
That's where the mistakes that you make in this business is what makes you more money in the future.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, they say if you're gonna fail anyway, you may as well fail forward.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. Great stuff. Listen, this has been the Real Life Real Estate Investing Show, where we talk about real life real estate situations, but we bring you real life real estate solutions. Thank y'all for watching. Look forward to seeing you next